Welcome in this new video in which I will show you how to blur parts of videos easily using a free tool using simply the YouTube Studio. So first of all, of course, you must have a YouTube account and go to your to studio.youtube.com logged in with your account. Then, of course, you must have a video that you want on which you want to blur parts of the video. So once your video is uploaded, so uploading a video to YouTube is a totally other topic, but once you have your videos, you can go here to content and select the video that you want to blur. So for example, I want to blur details of this video that I've uploaded. I open the video and then I go here to video editor. On this video editor, here I have two timelines. I have one timeline with the sound and I have one timeline with thumbnails of what's happening in the video, what's in the frame at this time. So once I identified parts of videos I want to blur, so for example, I can have a look here at this timeline, and I want to blur here this part of the video. Here I don't want people to see this ad publicly, for example, so I choose blur here, and I have two choices, face blur or custom blur. So first I will go with custom blur, so I know exactly which part of the video I want to blur. It's simple. I can choose a rectangle blur or an oval blur, and I can choose if the blur will track the object or if it's a fixed position for the period of time I selected. So first, let's try with a fixed blur position. So here I have one blur that appeared, so I can move it. For example, I want the blur here. And on the timeline, I can see that the blur will happen from this period, this time to this time. So that's not what I want. So if I switch the current thumbnail I am seeing, I will see the blur appear or disappear. So here disappear because I am out of the timeline during which the blur will be applied. So I can move the blur like this. I can also use the mouse to extend it. But what I prefer to do actually is to go frame by frame and find like the frame before this object appears. So here, copy the minute second, and here, so I am still in this custom blur, and paste this for the beginning of the blur. And automatically you can see on the timeline it is changed according to that. And then change the end of the blur. So the same, I find just the frame after this part disappears. I copy the timeline and I add it at the end of the blur. And here we go. I have added my first blur. So for this, that I know the blur position and it doesn't change position on all these frames. Then let's say, for example, we want to blur, let's say, the face of someone. So let's find something moving. I chose a video that is already blurred for privacy reasons. So for example, let's say, okay, let's pick here track object. So I will create a new blur, a custom blur again, but this time I will let it track the object. So I can, for example, choose oval blur, up, and then inside this rectangle you can see, maybe it's not so visible, but the blur is oval, and if I choose rectangle, the blur fills the whole rectangle. So here I want an oval blur, and let's say I just want to blur this part. As I chose to track object, you can see every time I change the blur, the size of the blur, YouTube Studio automatically finds out on which frames it can be applied because I chose to track the object. So just check it. If I switch the blur to this, poof, it automatically changes to the frames before and after the current frame in which the object has been tracked. Okay, so let's just leave it like this. And if so you can see here, actually I will play the video and look at the blur, how it is moving and how it is tracking the object automatically.
An advertisement like this one.
I will just remove the sound. So here you can see it. So as the object moves on the video, the blur is moving with the object. And you can see it's a different blur because it's on a different timeline. So you can add blurs, and the one currently selected appears in blue. the other blurs are in gray. So simply select the blur to go from one blur to another, and YouTube Studio will put you on the first frame on which this blur is available. So you can go from one blur to another, and the options currently displayed are for the blur currently selected in blue. And then there is one last type of blur. It is a face blur. So that's probably the one most useful to all. So you can simply select the face blur, and it will YouTube Studio will automatically detect faces on your behalf, and then you can select which faces on this video you want to blur. So probably this tool is not perfect. It might not detect especially the small faces, or if the video is low quality, it might miss some. But like if you have a close-up to a few people, it will easily find their faces in the video and let you select blur. So here it's taking some time because the video is quite long. It is a 4 minutes long video, even more than 4 minutes. So this also gives you an idea. So the longer your video is, the longer the processing time will take. So again, to give you an idea, so this video is already blurred. So to apply then this blurs to the video, it took about 4 to 5 hours processing by YouTube Studio. Of course, it depends on a lot of factors, on what servers are available at this time or not, probably many things, but just to give you an idea. So more or less 1 hour processing per 1 minute of video. And so meanwhile, while we're looking at it, so if you like this video, if it helps you solve your problem, please share it on your social networks. Please like it if you are watching it on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel for more. Oh, and here we go. We have all the faces. So I actually found faces even though they are already blurred. And now you can simply select the faces you want to blur. So for example, let's say I want to blur this. I want to blur all these faces actually. I don't want any face to appear. So you can just select them one by one. Actually, I will have to blur this part of the video before publishing it, but you can select the faces one after the other. And then you simply click apply. And here you go, Look at that, It is automatically creating one blur per face you selected. So here I selected a lot of faces just to show you it's a complicated video with a lot of faces. So if you have more simple video, it will be more easy, of course, but it's just to give you an idea. So here you can see it is processing, it is creating the face blurs one after the other. Maybe it was not such a good idea to put so many blurs. So meanwhile, while we're waiting, so please share this video, like it, comment. If you have anything, let me know if it was useful, how it was useful to you. And again, share it and check the full article that will be linked in the video description. So here I got all the blurs, and if I select one, oh wow, it is still processing. Now it's maybe a little too much blurs. I cannot select one anymore. So, here. So if I select a blur, here you can see all the various blurs appear at the same time on the video thumbnail, and the one currently selected appears in blue. So if you change it, it will change a lot of things. YouTube Studio will automatically try to track this face that you selected and for which you change the blur size. So here you go, and after that, of course, you have to solve issues. So if you have a blur outside of boundaries, you can simply here, select the blur. No, I cannot select the blur, but you can select the blurs. You press simply delete on your keyboard and it deletes the blur. So when you have too much blurs, you can just do that. Delete blurs one after the others. So now I cannot save the video because some blurs are not correct. So this might happen, especially with the automatic blur selection. Some of them are out of boundaries, so they are out of the picture, and these errors cannot be processed correctly by YouTube Studio. Okay, more blur. I so many blurs. Let's delete them one after the other until hopefully we can save the video, just to show you that the button to save video will become blue again. I don't want this blur, I don't want this blur. No blur, no blur. Puff, puff, puff. One blur less, one blur less, one blur less. And it's up. This blur was the one making problems. So here, and then you can save the video. And after you've, so I will also remove this one. So now I have blurred all parts of my video, all the parts I want. So I remove this blur because this video is already blurred. And then you can simply save. It will, so this is very important. So if your video is already published, even if you started the blur process, the currently published video will not change until the blurring process is completed. And again, it can take a lot of time, about 1 hour of server processing per minute of video. It might depend on your video quality, the number of blurs, and server charge at this time of many things. But viewers will see the current version of the video while the blurs are being applied to the video, and you won't be able to change this video while this process is ongoing. And yeah, so then you can just proceed with your own blur. So thanks for watching, and again, please share, comment, like, you know what to do. So thanks a lot, and I hope this was useful to you.